Imagine this. The Nevada desert stretches endlessly, the road shimmering under the sun like a molten ribbon of steel. On one side, a sleek Tesla Model S Plaid hums softly, its battery charged to the brim, ready to showcase the raw power and engineering of Silicon Valley. On the other side, parked beside it, is something that looks deceptively ordinary. A self-powered electric car, engineered to run without fuel, without charging, without ever stopping to refuel. The challenge is simple but almost unthinkable, a 1,000-mile endurance run. No pit stops for charging, no gas stations, no excuses. Just two vehicles, side by side, with the world watching. The Tesla represents the pinnacle of modern EV technology, lightning fast, packed with AI-driven software, backed by one of the most powerful charging networks in the world. But despite its brilliance, it still carries the Achilles heel of every electric car, dependence on charging stations and limited range. Then there's the Challenger, the car many still call impossible. Built by visionaries who dared to rethink the very laws of energy consumption, this self-powered vehicle runs on a system that harvests and regenerates its own energy in real time. Critics dismissed it as fantasy. Engineers doubted it could work outside of a lab. Yet here it stood, pitted against one of the greatest names in automotive history. The flag drops. Engines awaken. The Tesla surges forward with familiar grace, its driver confident, knowing every journalist and skeptic is betting on it. The self-powered car glides silently, almost eerily, its movement effortless, as though the desert wind itself is propelling it forward. As the miles unfold, the first hours seem predictable. The Tesla dominates with its superior acceleration, leaving streaks of dust behind. But endurance is not about speed alone. By the time they reach mile 300, something remarkable begins to unfold. The Tesla, now approaching its first critical charging stop, slows its momentum. Its driver pulls into a high-speed charging station, minutes ticking away, the battery sucking in power as quickly as technology allows. Meanwhile, the self-powered car doesn't stop. It doesn't even flinch. It sails past the station, uninterrupted, gaining distance while its rival waits tethered to a power line. Journalists scramble to capture the moment, cameras clicking furiously, because in this instant, the world realizes they may be witnessing a paradigm shift in transportation. Mile after mile, the Tesla pushes hard, regaining ground, its speed unmatched once fully charged. Yet every stop becomes an anchor, a reminder of dependency. The self-powered car continues steadily, its systems working quietly, regenerating, recycling, refusing to yield. By mile 700, tension fills the air. The Tesla has stopped 3 times now, clawing back lost ground each time with bursts of speed, but its opponent has never slowed, never paused, never once sought an outlet. Spectators lining the route begin whispering, some even cheering, as the impossible starts to look inevitable. And then comes mile 850. At mile 850, the tension is almost unbearable. The Tesla, fierce and determined, rockets forward, clawing at the asphalt with every ounce of torque its dual motors can unleash. Its driver, jaw clenched, knows that this is the final stretch, the last chance to prove that raw speed can overcome relentless endurance. But the reality is merciless. The Tesla's battery begins to show signs of strain. Even with regenerative braking, even with clever software balancing its energy output, the car is fighting a battle against physics itself. Every burst of acceleration consumes precious power, and the dashboard blinks warnings of another stop approaching fast. The self-powered car, on the other hand, remains unnervingly calm. Its movements are smooth, controlled, and unbothered. There is no hesitation, no need for pit stops, no anxious eye on a battery percentage meter. It is as though the car has transcended the very limitations that have defined automobiles since their invention. Reporters, riding in chase vehicles, scramble to broadcast the unfolding spectacle. Drone cameras sweep overhead, capturing live footage of a machine that, if proven true, could render charging stations obsolete. Social media erupts in disbelief. Hashtags trend globally. Some cheer for Tesla's defiance, others rally behind the mysterious new contender. At mile 920, the Tesla pulls into another supercharging station. Its drivers face a mask of frustration. The crowd watches as precious minutes slip by. The self-powered car glides past once more, unbroken, almost serene in its defiance of the old order. By mile 970, it becomes clear. The Tesla, even at its maximum output, simply cannot outrun the laws of energy consumption. Every sprint demands replenishment. Every charge costs time. The self-powered car, with its silent regeneration system, is rewriting what's possible. Mile 990. The two cars are still on the same stretch of road, but the Tesla lags by nearly 40 miles. Its fans shout encouragement, its engineers cling to the hope of a miracle. Yet the horizon tells a different story. The self-powered car advances steadily, confidently, toward a finish line that no one thought it could reach. As the odometer rolls past mile 1000, history is made. The self-powered car crosses the line without a single stop, without a single drop of fuel, without ever once being plugged into a charger. The crowd erupts in disbelief and awe. The Tesla arrives minutes later, a marvel in its own right, but suddenly feeling like a relic of yesterday's technology. The announcer's voice trembles as he declares what the world has just witnessed, a direct challenge to the foundations of the global automotive industry. For the first time, a car that never charges, never refuels, and never stops has proven itself not in theory, not in a lab, but on the open road against one of the most advanced EVs ever built. And in that moment, the questions that had been whispered in corners explode into the open. If this is real, who controls it? Who will bring it to market? And what will happen to the multi-trillion-dollar industries built on oil, electricity, and infrastructure when the world realizes a car like this can exist? The 1,000-mile challenge has ended, but the true race, the race for the future, has only just begun. As the dust settled at the finish line, the silence was almost louder than the roar of the engines. Spectators stood frozen, their disbelief etched into every gasp and widened eye. The Tesla, brilliant yet defeated, rolled to a quiet stop beside the self-powered car, its headlights dim against the steady glow of the Challenger that seemed to hum with endless life. Reporters rushed forward, microphones raised, their voices colliding in a storm of questions. How was it possible? Was this sorcery masquerading as science? The engineers behind the self-powered car gave no easy answers, only calm smiles and the promise that the world was standing at the threshold of something greater than anyone had imagined. Across the globe, governments convened emergency meetings. Oil executives whispered in panic. Utility companies quietly prepared for a future where charging networks might become obsolete before they even reached maturity. Meanwhile, ordinary people flooded the internet with one question: when can I drive one? In Detroit, analysts sat in boardrooms with furrowed brows, while in Silicon Valley, investors typed furiously into secure messages, each desperate to stake their claim on the future before it slipped from their grasp. But behind the fanfare, a deeper tension began to surface. The self-powered car was more than just an invention. It was a disruption so profound it threatened to reshape economies, industries, even geopolitics. Whispers began to spread of lobbying efforts, of powerful interests determined to bury what had just been proven before billions of eyes. And yet, as the victorious car sat quietly on that stretch of American highway, its silent motor still running without effort, one undeniable truth lingered in the air: the world had just seen the impossible, and nothing would ever be the same again. Overnight, the footage went viral, dominating every screen from New York to Nairobi. News anchors replayed the final stretch of the 1,000-mile challenge on an endless loop, each network adding its own spin. Some heralded it as the death of the fuel era, while others cautioned viewers to be skeptical, hinting that what they'd witnessed was either a stunt or some elaborate illusion. In the heart of Washington, a closed-door meeting was held. Senators, lobbyists, and military advisers sat around a polished oak table, their voices sharp with urgency. "If this car is real," one voice echoed, "it's not just an automotive breakthrough. It's a national security threat." Others argued it was the greatest economic opportunity of the century. The debate raged, but one thing was clear: they couldn't ignore it. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, the inventor himself remained silent. No press conferences, no social media posts. The world hung in suspense, desperate for him to speak. Rumors swirled that major automakers had already sent private jets with blank checks, while tech giants scrambled to contact his inner circle, each one desperate to control what could easily become the most valuable technology in modern history. But behind the excitement, darker shadows crept closer. Energy conglomerates, oil magnates, and even entire nations stood to lose trillions if this technology spread unchecked. Whispers of sabotage circulated, that forces more powerful than anyone could imagine were already moving to silence the breakthrough before it gained unstoppable momentum. And yet, amidst the chaos, ordinary people refused to let the vision die. Online communities rallied together, demanding transparency, demanding access. Protests began in front of corporate headquarters, chants of "Let the future drive" echoing through city streets. The world stood divided, some terrified, others electrified. But one truth bound them all: this was no longer just about a car. It was about control, freedom, and the future of human progress. And as night fell, with the victorious car still humming quietly in its garage, untouched, unstoppable, it felt less like the end of a race and more like the beginning of a revolution. The world waited. Days passed with no word from the inventor, and the silence only deepened the mystery. Journalists camped outside his modest workshop, drones hovered overhead, and helicopters traced circles in the sky, all desperate for the first glimpse of the man who had shaken the foundations of an entire industry. Then, without warning, a message appeared. Not on television, not through the press, but on a live-stream broadcast directly from his own platform. The frame was simple, the inventor standing beside the very car that had stunned the world. His voice was calm, but the weight of his words sent shockwaves across every continent. "I built this," he said, placing his hand on the hood, "not for corporations, not for governments, but for people, for those who have been told for too long that freedom must come with a price. This car does not belong to me. It belongs to humanity." The live chat exploded. Millions tuned in, servers crashed, but his message cut through the chaos. He would not sell the technology to the highest bidder. Instead, he promised to release its blueprint to the public, ensuring no single entity could control it. The declaration sent stock markets into free fall. Oil companies lost billions within hours. Politicians scrambled, calling emergency sessions. CEOs raged behind closed doors. But outside, in city streets across the globe, something incredible began to unfold. People cheered. Strangers hugged. Crowds formed in plazas, chanting his name, hoisting banners that read "The future is free." It was as if the weight of centuries of dependence had been lifted in a single moment. Yet not everyone celebrated. In the shadows, powerful interests conspired, knowing that if these blueprints went live, their empires would crumble overnight. Surveillance intensified, offers turned to threats, and whispers of silencing him grew louder. Still, the inventor pressed on. He smiled at the camera, eyes unwavering, and ended with words that no one would ever forget. "They said it couldn't be done. They said it would fail. But the truth is unstoppable." And with a single keystroke, he uploaded the files, unleashing a storm that no power on Earth could contain. As the blueprints spread across the world, nothing could stop them. Within hours, they were copied, mirrored, translated, and shared across every corner of the Internet. Attempts to take them down only amplified their reach. The more they tried to silence the invention, the louder it echoed. In villages with no power, engineers and students worked side by side, assembling the first prototypes from the parts they could find. In bustling cities, mechanics converted old vehicles, giving them new life free from fuel and charging stations. It was as if the entire world had been waiting for this one spark to ignite. Oil rigs slowed. Gas stations stood empty. And in boardrooms, executives who once ruled the world realized the grip they held was slipping from their hands forever. The inventor himself vanished from the spotlight soon after. Some say he went into hiding, others believe he continued his work quietly in another part of the world. But wherever he was, his presence was felt everywhere. His name had become more than a man, it was a movement. Years later, people would look back on that moment, the night one person defied the impossible, the night he shared not just a car, but a future powered by freedom. And history would remember it not as the fall of one industry, but as the rebirth of human possibility. The world had changed. Permanently.